Good morning and welcome to Coffee Ann, the longest-running panel discussion show in American radio. To make a comment or ask a question to the panel, call 401-766-1240 or email coffee@woonsocket.radio.com. And now, let's join the Coffee Ann panel.
It's Coffee Ann here on ON AM and FM. Thanks for joining us on this Monday morning. It's November 7th in the year 2022. This is Joe Callahan. Thanks for joining us. Dave Richards is here as well. Good morning to you, Dave.
I had to be somewhere.
And joining us as as a sponsor of the Coffee Ann program today would be Garrett
This
Manzieri.
portion of Coffee Ann is sponsored by Friends of Garrett S. Manzieri.
There you go. There's the tag. Good morning, everybody.
Nice to have you
And
with
here
us,
he
Garrett.
So that everybody understands, back in October before Autumn Fest, Garrett said, "Hey, Dave, we did this once before. Can we come on the day before the election, and I'll purchase all 4 segments of the program?" And I said, "Okay, yeah, all right, we can do that." So this is what we're doing. And it's because Garrett has a lot of things to do that he can't fit into a little 30-second message.
Yeah, that's right.
Because we hear his messages on the air now, and they're 30-second long messages. Actually, Garrett is the only one that went 32 because he's got a lot to say.
Sorry.
Don't worry about it. Because he's got a lot to say. And here he is in the studio. He's got a beautiful blue polo on with a sticker on there that says, "Elect Garrett Manzieri, City Council."
People know, yep.
Those are nice. That's nice stickers.
So, Garrett,
Are those terribly expensive? Should I get some with the logo of the radio station?
You can get some. It's pretty affordable, yeah, actually.
Oh,
yeah.
okay, good.
so you're on the front page of Sunday's Call.
Yeah.
Along
Have
with
you noticed that?
Everybody else, yeah.
Along with all your opponents.
Yeah, that's right.
And everybody's got a few paragraphs.
It's fair, I think.
So
yeah.
I just want to follow up on your segment right here that's in the
Sure.
call, and the first sentence under you it just says our government is broken. So expand on that a little bit more. What's broken about it, and how do you plan to fix it if elected to the city council?
So that's a big reason why I'm running. You know, I've had a great opportunity during this campaign to go out and talk to people. And even when I'm not campaigning, people come up and talk to me about it. And the biggest issue is, they're unhappy that government is not working for the people. They see it as this side versus that side. And there's something I also want to talk about today is these supposed teams in that whole situation. But, I really just want to be involved. I want to be a legislator again. I want to bring a bigger focus on what we can accomplish here in the city. And instead of the headlines of, the back and forth. And, the mayor has come out and supported certain candidates, and I'm on those lists of candidates. And I just want to tell people, too, that is not necessarily the mayor's so-called team. Because that's something that we have been labeled that we are the mayor's team, and that's not really true. What it
Certainly
is
looks that way, though, Garrett.
what it is candidates supporting other candidates, and I think that's important. And it's not a kind of support that if I support you, you need to do this, and you need to do this, and you need to vote every single way that I want. Certainly, we have not done that, and we will not do that. And I have a record of not doing that. There are times that I have supported Mayor Bodoli Hunt's initiatives, and there are some times that I have voted no. I voted no on the middle school purchase and the AR field purchase and some budget items that I felt were not in the best interest of the community. And that doesn't mean that I dislike her or whatever. I mean, to me, you still need to be your own individual candidate. And that's something I really want to get across to the voters before Election Day is that I want you to base your votes on the person that is running. Mm-hmm. And, yes, we certainly encourage you to vote for the whole slate. But if there's people on there that you don't like, that's okay. Vote for the people that you do support. And what we're trying to do is we just want to have people that work together and collaborate with each other, communicate with each other, and respect one another. And I think that's something that we're missing right now, where it's more of a focus on, how can I get this person? How can I get this person in trouble? How can I get my agenda across? And I really want to do away with that and kind of get a bigger focus back on the city and back on the issues that we can resolve.
All right. When you were on the city council, Garrett, what would you say were your biggest accomplishments when you were a city council member?
So I wanted to remind people, too, as to the situation that we were in. So I ran in 2013 and was successful, and that was a dark time at Woonsocket. We had to exit the Budget Commission. The streetlights had been turned off, and we had a lot of city debt that we couldn't pay off. And we really tried to turn things around. We did an in-house paving program, which has been extremely successful under the direction of Director D'Agostino. He's done a great job saving taxpayers hundreds of thousands of dollars. We created the blight removal program, which really eliminated some eyesore properties and really has resulted in a much better real estate market here in Woonsocket for people. Something that I wanted to focus on too is that my biggest piece of legislation when I served was the downtown overlay district. And I want to talk a lot about Main Street and the success of it, because I think it's important to get that out there, that we, for the first time in the history of Woonsocket, we actually had a plan and we implemented it. Because we've had so many plans, we've had this plan and that plan and that plan, and it hasn't been successful. And now if you look at Main Street in 2013 and where it is today, it's drastically different. And a lot of positive things have happened. And it's because of the downtown overlay district. And it's also because when I was on the city council, we did zoning changes. And I know zoning changes can be a little confusing for people. They don't really understand what that means. But basically, the zoning it basically tells you what you can and cannot do in real estate. And sometimes you need to make some changes to allow a business to come in, whether it be a restaurant on Park Avenue or another development on South Main Street for an expanding business. Those are things that you need to support because it's beneficial for the community. I also focus in on more online government services because I really felt it was important to get less of a paper society and more of an online, easier to do, more transparent way to do government. And certainly that was beneficial during COVID when, we had to do a lot of things online. And I can't even imagine where we were if we didn't have that new city website and new online platform for people to be able to do things. And the last thing I wanted to credit what I worked on my first term was I allowed veterans to get credit for all the wars that they served in. So it didn't matter what war, because it was very specific as to which conflict you were involved in, whether you got the credits or not. So I wanted to make it just general that if you served our country, that you received the credit that you deserve in order to come back and get some employment in the city.
Okay, Dave, do you have anything that you wanted to bring up?
Well, sure there are, but I'm not sure if Garrett wants to speak about it. Online services, online government services have a very bad rap. It seems that we've made a new way for lazy people to ignore us. Well, that happens in the business world, not just the government world.
Yep.
And I deal, we're licensed by a federal agency that has gone almost completely online. Every application must be done online. Every financial remuneration to them, thanking them for governing us, taxes, have to be done online. Everything has to be done online because, frankly, they don't want to talk to us. And even their telephone system is set up to answer right away and tell us how to email them. So that's where that's going. So how's that working in Woonsocket? Because now you were a counselor, and we instituted the system. And the point I'm trying to make is right now you'd like to be a counselor again, but you're a private citizen right now, and you have to deal with the website and the system and the responses from our government. Has it really been a positive thing? Your point of view.
Yeah, yes, I believe it has, and I understand where you're coming from, Dave. And I think there should always be a available resource for people to talk to walk you through that. Maybe even to come into City Hall and do it online in person there. But the reason why we want to do things online is because there's a written record of all those things, and that's really important that we have that. And it's not just a phone call about this and an email about that, because I think a lot of that stuff gets lost in the everyday, day-to-day affairs of city government. So by doing things online, it's much more transparent. And I'll give you a perfect example. When a business owner is applying for a certificate of occupancy, I think it's really important for that business owner to be able to go online and check on the status and say, okay, I'm waiting for the fire department, I'm waiting for the building inspector, I'm waiting for the electrical inspector, and they can actually track that progress. So that's something that I want to do so that it actually moves things along quicker and people can get from point A to point B a lot quicker and a lot more efficiently. So that's something that I think I totally agree with you, that we need to stay on top of it and make sure that people still get great service through that system. But I think they will see the benefits of it greatly by moving to a more online system and moving it, and also allowing those people to do business whenever they want. because a lot of those business owners that I talk to, they don't have time between 8:30 and 4:30 during the day. So maybe they do want to apply for a license at 7 o'clock at night or 8 o'clock at night when they do have time. So that's something that can really move things along and allow government to work better for you, even though, you might have, that technology challenge to kind of learn how to do it.
I understand. Now, you made an excellent point, Garrett, that everything is date and time stamped. So often you could call and talk to somebody and it could get lost.
Yep.
Or an email could get lost. But a date and time stamp on the central system of when something was accessed, information was given,
Right.
information was received. It could be very, very important to follow up.
Correct,
For the people of the government. By the way, before we started, Joe jumped right into questions. You should have a formal message here at the beginning of the whole affair. So, do you have something prepared on that, a formal message?
Sure, yeah. I'm just
That's the format of the show.
Okay. I'm excited to be running for city council again. I'm really hoping that the people of Woonsocket, the voters of Woonsocket, will give me another opportunity to serve them. I really enjoyed my time as being a legislator. I worked hard on ordinances and resolutions and budget amendments that I felt were in the best interest of the people of Woonsocket. And I just humbly ask for your vote and your support so that we can move the city forward and move our city on a bigger, path to progress that the people ultimately will see the results of.
All right.
All right. Question for you, Garrett. As the private citizen right now, you were against Mayor Baldelli Hunt being removed from office. Do you want to reiterate why you think that was a bad choice for the city council?
So besides just the overall, reputation that we have now, I never like to see Woonsocket. I mean, as both of you know, I love this community and I love to see the positive things promoted there. And it really shed Woonsocket in another negative light because people came up to me and said, what's going on in Woonsocket? What is all this controversy? What is going on between these two branches of government? How come they can't communicate with each other, work with each other? And it really was sort of a whole bad situation. It was a situation where the city council wanted to do certain initiatives and they tried to implement those initiatives, and they had a city solicitor that basically said, yes, you can do this, and yes, you can do this, and yes, you can do this. I've never seen the city solicitor tell the council that they can't do something. And that's kind of concerning to me because when I served on the city council, the city solicitor at times would say, Garrett, you can't submit this ordinance. You can't do this amendment because it's not legal. And I respected that because I'm not a lawyer. I don't pretend to be a lawyer. And I don't know whether something I'm doing is legitimate. And we rely on him or that person, whoever that may be, to tell us whether it follows the charter or not. And what we have seen and what a lot of people have seen is that the city solicitor is not really working in the best interest of the city. He's working in the best interest of the city council. So when people say to me, well, the mayor violated the charter, well, that's to me a matter of interpretation because I don't feel like some of the initiatives that the city council were trying to do were legal. And if we had a city solicitor that was a little bit more fair, he might have said, you know what, it's not legal for a city council president to sign a contract. It's not legal for a city council to negotiate a contract. To be honest with you, I never even thought of negotiating and calling a union head and saying, hey, can we sit down and negotiate this contract? I mean, I always use the comparison of, would you ever expect a state senator like, Senator Pickard or Senator Murray to call a local state union and say, hey, can we negotiate this contract? I mean, it's kind of absurd, I mean, people should stay in their branch of government. And that's why we have the city council to approve of those things. So that's why, I really wanted people to understand the basic fairness of it. And I always tell people, too, that if, you actually had a fair hearing, it wouldn't last 2 days. People would have several months to prepare their case, and then you would have several months of hearing the case, and then you would have a vote. So,
but Garrett, aren't you arguing with the provisions of the charter? Because the provisions of the charter are that you're going to have this in 10 days or no later than 30 days. They took the whole 30. I understand you're talking about how things should be, but the people who were there were following what was written.
Well, it also gives the city council the ability to remove. It doesn't force them to remove. So they could have said that she violated the charter,
Right.
but there's no requirement that you remove that person from office, at least not indefinitely.
That wasn't the tone of the comments at the time, right? That wasn't the attitude.
So there were other
we saw.
options that they had. They could have said, okay, the mayor did violate the charter in A, B, and C, and these are the penalties. Maybe there could have been a financial fine. There could have been, a temporary suspension. There could have been other options than to simply remove them and take over the other branch of government. Because that's another thing that also happens in the federal government, where you can't have an impeachment process, and I think there should be a process for that. But it also doesn't give them the ability to take over that branch. I mean, when the president gets removed, the vice president steps in. So it's not a question of I'm gonna
That's
do
not
this.
how the charter is worded. So let's go back again to say, would you agree as a candidate for city council that one of our higher priorities now are to review the
Absolutely.
charter?
Absolutely.
Well,
Yeah.
that's the only thing that we really have to discuss here is that, because I'll be the first, and I didn't take a side in any of this. I'm trying my darndest to be Switzerland in this whole thing, because I don't want to be campaigning on one side or another side. That's not what I choose to do.
Right.
But I love the city, and if we'd agree on that one point that this was a very sad thing, bad things happened all the way around.
Mm-hmm.
People tried to follow what was written, but what was written was inadequate for the situation. Would you agree to that?
I absolutely agree. Yep. And that's
So-
it's important for the mayor to appoint the charter commission, charter review commission, reflect all sides of the city,
Right.
bring everybody together and say, okay, what do you think is a fair process for how we go about this,
Well, then we have agreement on that, and we'll continue with Garrett Mancieri and his purchased broadcast time here on our Coffee and program and our once-a-year extravaganza, getting underneath Garrett's yarmulke. This whole portion is brought to you by the friends of Garrett S. Mancieri. We'll continue after the break.
Comments and questions can still be called in for Garrett. 766
They always can on Coffee and.
1240.
But let's not get into
The high
arguments.
cost of living, rising energy costs, safe streets, secure elections. These are the issues facing every Rhode Islander, and they require real leadership and real solutions. My name is John Brian, and as State Representative for District 49, I assure you that I will work to earn your trust each and every day that I serve as your state representative. I'm running as an independent candidate because in this climate of political gridlock and consistent conflict, I think it is truly important to elect candidates that will have an open mind regardless of party or personality. Neither political party has a monopoly on good or bad ideas, holding the city, town, or state back because of a party designation holds us back from the successes that we could otherwise achieve. As a former state representative and vice president of the Woonsocket City Council, I have the experience and knowledge to hit the ground running on day one. I humbly ask you for your vote, and I look forward to serving you as your state representative. Paid for, Friends of John Brian.
The Coffee and Panel is enjoying coffee from Down East Coffee in Pawtucket. They're a 62-year-old family business that roasts all its coffee right here in Rhode Island. Founded originally as Excellent Coffee Company, they provide great coffee to food service establishments throughout New England.
ON Radio.
It's Coffee and on ON Radio.
And this portion of Coffee and is sponsored by Friends of Garrett S. Mancieri. And here's the candidate.
Here he is now.
With another message for us.
You talk now, Gary.
Okay, I'm ready. So I just want to tell people about a little bit about my platform too. So I'll just highlight that.
Cool.
Which is I'm going to focus again on grow Main Street and the economy. That's always something that I do on a daily basis in my real estate job, which I've done for 14 years of helping businesses and come to the city and expand.
Can I stop you there for a second? Because you've got this written out, so you should be able to get back on track again. But when you say something that's kind of interesting for discussion, I wanted to ask you about that.
Sure.
You mentioned 14 years now in this real estate game in the city. Mm-hmm. And there's plenty of competition in the real estate game. So you've gotten yourself into something where you really have to work hard. I get that.
Yep.
You've also had so many different things that you've done in your life, including your time on the city council, but your time with the Downtown Woonsocket Collaborative in leadership roles there. I wanted to ask you, as a real estate agent and as a candidate, what changes are exciting you about Woonsocket now that weren't there 14 years ago when you first got into this business?
Sure, I think the whole climate of the downtown area. So it was a hard sell for us to make to people that, because everybody always put a lot of pressure on us and saying, where are the businesses? Why are the businesses not coming? How come you can't get more businesses? And for us, it was always about trying to encourage people to take on that project, take on that first project. And I think the biggest change is that we have so many housing developments underway right now, and they've been incredibly successful. So when you look at 122 North Main Street, that was 13 more units. That was new businesses coming in. And then you went from 43 Railroad Street, which was completed construction. That's another 20 units. The CYO building, 33 units. 75 Main Street, the Call building, 25 units. 55 Main Street, 45 units there. The Burnham Mills, 44 units. Island Place, 70 units. Now the Longley building is under construction. That's another 18 units. So the whole atmosphere of the environment, it has changed, because I'm sure people in their older years remember that Main Street was the business district, and they couldn't fathom the fact that
that's not the case in most places these days.
that it's
In
actually
Detroit,
now
it's not the case.
correct. Yep. And a lot of those businesses moved because they wanted to be in a more commercial district where you could have 1-level, 2-level buildings. You could have a drive-through. You could bring your car around. And that's why they left those buildings. And then it's like, okay, so what are we going to do with these buildings? They're 4 stories high. Nobody really wants to be located on the fourth floor for a business if you're trying to convince people to come down there. So we have to repurpose them. And that's why I, Melissa Murray, and some other people went to Main Street Now conferences so we could learn. And they said, you have to do mixed-use projects. You have to convince people that the first floor should be commercial and the upper floor should be residential. And I think that's the biggest change. We are revitalizing these properties, these beautiful historic buildings, and bringing them back to life.
That's been allowed for many years, the multi-use buildings where you have commercial at street level where it's going to flourish.
Yep.
And then residential on a higher level where they get away from the street noise, because you really do when you're on the higher floors.
Yep.
It's a much more private situation.
Yep.
So that's the highest and best use for properties like we have on Main Street, that's for sure. Not just bulldozing things down and making parking lots, that's also for sure. So what you're seeing then is a lot more optimism, and after enormous and prolonged effort, a momentum toward redevelopment. Did I understand what you just said?
Absolutely, yep. And a lot of credit goes to Les Pesbelko and John Messier that have really taken on a lot of those projects, and thankfully other people are taking on projects as well too. But it's so great to be able to talk to people and for people to see that these buildings are being saved, because they have so many great stories about them working in these buildings and having family and friends visit them all the time. I mean, people have
this radio station started up in what's now a classroom.
That's correct. And it's just so great to have these buildings come back to life in a different form for sure. But I think the community really has been supportive of seeing them be restored and revitalized for their new purpose for today's world, today's life.
So things could be worse. All right, you were talking about your platform, and you're talking about Main Street and the economy. Let me get you back on track with that.
So I also want to spend a few minutes and talk about education. And people always say, if you're running for city council, you shouldn't talk about education. But
Why not?
for me,
Why-
it's,
yeah, well, why
it's
not?
extremely important. Well, they say that's the school committee, and that's their job, and you shouldn't
I
be
know,
talking
but-
about them.
But you folks are the enablers.
Yeah, that's right.
But to me, it's not a question of them coming to us once a year and saying, hey, can we have some money? We're going to have a lot more, if I can get back on, we can have much more fruitful conversations about, how are we going to raise those test scores? How are we going to raise the graduation rates? Because that's what people want to see. And people don't realize that our economy is directly tied to our education system, too. So if we don't improve our schools, which I want to do, there's a plan on the table to build new elementary schools, which I'm supportive of. And I really feel it's important that we have these great facilities that kids can learn in, because otherwise, other communities are doing it. Our kids are going to fall behind if we don't keep up with the technology, keep up with the modern facilities that are really important to them. And I also want to highlight something that the governor worked on, the mayor worked on, the city employees worked on, which is the Higher Education Center. That is making a big difference on Main Street. It's bringing people in, and it's also, more importantly, training them for specific jobs for companies. So it's not a question of I'm going to go get this degree, I'm going to learn this skill, and then I hope to God that I get a job. They are training them for jobs. So it's very specific that they are not just
With
giving
commercial
them.
partners.
Correct. So CVS, Amica, Fidelity, AAA, they've all signed on, and I hope that more companies
Any
sign
school
on.
will tell you we're
know.
training you for a job, but these folks actually have the partners sitting there waiting for the graduates.
And you actually can see like a CVS pharmacy inside the building, which I think is so cool that people get to actually learn that. So you're not just walking into a job and saying, "Oh my God, what do I do
Now
now?"
what do I do?
They know exactly how it's laid out, how to do their specific job, and it's exciting. It's a great thing that we have in our community because I think some people do fall through the gaps and say, I don't know what to do. I don't know whether I should go to college or go into the military or what to do. And this gives them another option that they don't have to pay for a 4-year school. They can go in and they can learn how to do certain jobs. I think it's really important.
Do you know what the enrollment numbers are for that higher education center?
I don't have it off the top of my head, but I can tell you that they are pretty at capacity. I certainly see the difference
Yeah,
in the downtown
really.
area, for sure.
Yeah, they're swinging over there.
Yeah.
They're really swinging over there.
Well, good. I'm glad that people are taking advantage of it. So that's good.
This program, by the way, this program originated in one of those rooms in the classrooms.
That's right.
Where they're teaching kids now how to get jobs that will benefit them. Not just entry-level jobs, but jobs that are going to provide a career for them down the line if they choose.
You mentioned about schools, about possibly replacing an elementary school. Which elementary school is on tap to be replaced, or has that been named yet?
So I can tell you that the oldest facility that the school department has is the Coleman School in Fairmount. So the facilities committee has voted to close down that school. It just doesn't make sense to rehabilitate that and spend that money.
They've struggled
that.
so hard trying to make it accessible to today's standards for all different levels of students. And it's getting to the point where they just can't.
The same goes for Citizens, so that's the second oldest, and it's a challenge. I mean, there's limited space there, so we think it probably might be better to add on to that other school right there, Pothier, and also build new schools elsewhere. And then you also have Globe Park, Vernon, and Leo Savoy, which also were built in, I believe, the 60s.
Yeah.
And something has to happen there. So either we're going to rehab those schools or we're going to build a new school to contain those kids because it's just a question of how much money do you
Yeah.
put into an older building like that.
And there's no evil going on here. After 60 some odd years, almost 60 years on a lot of these buildings, it's not like your residential home where it could be 70, 80, 100 years old. I mean, the one we're in is over 100 years old because it doesn't get the use that a school does.
Right.
You see, so you really have to, and plus updating it for today's standards of education.
Today's codes, yeah.
Right. So it should be a natural thing that everyone knows you have to replace these buildings over a period of time. And when it gets to be 60 years, it's getting there.
Are you looking to replace in the schools and put them in the original place, or are you looking to go someplace else?
So that's something that I'm hoping that the community can help us out with and share their opinions. There is an effort to move those schools to Berry Field, and I have some concern about it. I voted to move the plan forward so that the community could hear about it and talk about it. But certainly I want to hear what the parents have to say about that. I have a major concern about kids in Fairmount and where they're going to go. And what my understanding is that they're going to do some redistricting, so hopefully those kids do not have to go very far away to a new school. But I have some major concerns about taking out every school from those neighborhoods because it's important, and I think people want to be with their neighbors. Certainly those kids have friendships that they've built up with, and I think that's something that we have to take into account. So that's something that I'm really looking forward to hearing what the community has to say about that.
Okay. When you talk about the new affordable and housing options, 122 North Main, 43 Railroad, 77 Federal, are you getting a lot of action over there? Are people moving in?
So 43 Railroad Street is almost full. The only two that are left were the penthouses, and I think they kind of went a little higher than the market rate for those. So I think those are going to come down a little bit. But the other units are all rented. And I can tell you that there's already interest in the CYO building. So I think it would be very easy to rent out these apartments. And some of them are local people, and some of them are from the Boston area that are looking for more affordable options. So it's a really great mix of people, to see the local people and then also the people, new moving into the community. And I'll just tell you about a story from one of the people that moved into North Main Street, where it's a younger guy, probably a little younger than me, moved into his first apartment, and the mother came down and said, "I want to know all about this place Woonsocket, because I don't know any place, and my only son is coming here and moving here." And I said, "I'm going to go check out this city." And she loved it, and it was great to see that. There's somebody from an outsider who came to Woonsocket and said, "Look at these beautiful buildings. You got the Stadium Theater down the street. You see these local restaurants that are great." So she loved it. She felt that her son would be safe here, and he would really enjoy his time here. So it's great to see that opinion from somebody that has never come here and have that positive outlook for the city.
All right, we have to take a break here on the Coffee and program. Should we get another message from Garrett?
But if he has one, otherwise he can waive. That's always the sponsor's position.
So I'll take a position on. That might be another debate
This is your
topic.
60-second ad.
So I just want to tell people that I will be a big advocate for working people, seniors, and veterans. That's something that I've been passing out on my palm card if you've had a chance to look at it. Again, we're going to support a supermarket. We're going to support city parks. We're going to support our local veterans. So we're just asking for your support for our council slate.
All right. It's time for the weather forecast, which is being brought to you by the Ad Council.
Gradual clearing today with a high of 75 degrees and a breeze from the west up to 24 miles per hour. Tonight, clear with a low of 39 degrees and a northwest breeze up to 25 miles per hour. Tuesday, sunshine and 53, breezy from the northwest. Wednesday, sunshine and 53. Thursday, sunshine and 63. On Veterans Day Friday, there's a 30% chance of some rain in the afternoon, mostly sunny skies with a high of 67. Good chance of rain on Friday night and on Saturday as well, with a mostly cloudy sky and a high of 65 Saturday. Sunday, back to the sunshine and 48.
Currently outside the Navigant Credit Union broadcast studio on the corner of Park Avenue and Kennedy Street under partly sunny skies, we have 71 degrees. Okay, dads, it's time to do the Cabbage Patch, the Running Man, or something more contemporary, the Floss. That's right, dance like a dad with your kids. Learn more at fatherhood.gov, sponsored by the Ad Council.
Paul Bourget, chairman of the Woonsocket School Committee, is asking for your vote to re-elect him and the current members of the school committee, including Donald Burke, Lynn Kapiskas, Alan LeClaire, and Amy Costa. For the past 2 years, your current school committee has provided experienced leadership and commitment to our students, their parents, and the school administration. They've listened and acted on school issues such as bullying and mask wearing. The school committee approved programs and personnel to address learning loss and social-emotional support. In addition, the school committee provided for a safe and healthy environment for our students. And currently, they're planning for the building and rehabilitation of our schools. Know that your school committee will continue to make sure that our students receive the best education possible. So please, cast your vote for Donald Burke, Lynn Kapiskas, Alan LeClaire, Amy Costa, and Paul Bourget.
Paid for by the Campaign for Paul Bourget.
We're here on the floor at Family Discount Furniture, corner Social Street and Diamond Hill Road. I'm standing with all these different beds and bedroom sets around us, and Brad's standing next to me. Brad, tell us about this thing, and you've got mattresses galore.
Yeah, so our mattress lineup, we run a bunch of different ones from different vendors. We actually have all different sizes, twin, full, queen, king. We run adjustable beds. We have memory foam, cooling gel, ultra plush. We have something for everybody's needs.
You got the ones that articulate, that go up and down, or the ones that just lay there because that's what you do.
Oh, yeah, sure, at the absolute lowest prices around.
I see something that people can't buy when they come to Family Discount Furniture. There's a sign right over here in the bureau that says Best Mattress Store.
So we were actually voted Reader's Choice for 2022. Best in Business Mattress Store. Our mattress selection is very, very good. We have something for everyone, like I was saying before. And remember, Dave, we offer a 90-day, no credit needed, $49 down, have now, pay later.
That's Family Discount Furniture, corner of Social Street and Diamond Hill Road here in Woonsocket.
The Treasurer's Office plays a critical role in managing Rhode Island's assets. James Lathrop is a financial professional dedicated to the responsibilities and work of this office. Lathrop will be ready on day one to tackle the tough financial issues facing our state. As a certified public accountant with degrees from Bryant University and New York University, James Lathrop has addressed complex operational and financial issues and was named CFO of the Year by Providence Business News. If you want better, vote James Lathrop for State Treasurer.
Paid for by Lathrop for State Treasurer.
Hi, this is Gary Smith. I hope you listen to our all-request music show called Do You Remember These? Saturdays, 4 to 7 p.m. here on ON Radio.
Coffee and here on ON. Thanks for joining us. Joe Callahan with Dave Richards. Garrett Manseri is here as well. He's purchased the time to be here. Do you want to have another
This
message?
time is sponsored by Friends of Garrett S. Mansieri.
Thank you.
I always get a chuckle out of Garrett when I say that. All right, but anyway, you got a whole list of things that you're hoping to get across to everybody over here, and we keep interrupting you. For points of clarification, Garrett, you want to get some of the other things done. Your platform still has a few more planks that you haven't discussed yet, and of course, I know you want to talk about the 2 ballot questions that Woonsocket voters will see there, and some of the other things that are rumored around, like supermarkets and public safety complexes and things like that. So we're going to be kind of quiet and let you just pick it up from here and go for it.
Well, I do want to have a conversation about the supermarket because, that's something that people have reached out. They've been reaching out for many elections, actually, to say, we want more food options, we want more food options. And I think now is probably the most important time to focus in on
I'll
it.
stop you right there. You just said it right. I don't hear anyone in any of the propaganda or publicity or discussion in here saying it properly. You just said we want more food options nearby. You just said those words. That's the thing. And that's legitimate. Everybody says we need a supermarket. I'm sorry, you got a supermarket. You had a supermarket. And you lost the supermarket. But you can't make somebody put a supermarket where you are. And that's nice. You can want it, but for years and years and decades and down through history, people move to be near the things they want to be next to.
Right.
And so we're not advising anyone to leave Woonsocket. I'm right here in Woonsocket where I want to be, and I'm 4.5 blocks away from a huge supermarket.
That is correct,
and 7 blocks away from a huger supermarket.
Yep.
Okay? So, wait a minute. And 6 blocks away from a smaller but very nice supermarket. And I'm in Woonsocket.
Yeah.
So this is all rhetoric to me. Can you explain this? Why is this? We're seeing it on the handouts and stuff like that. We want a super. I'm sorry. Okay, fine. But it got to be some political buzzword.
And it really shouldn't be. I mean, to me, it's something that we should be working on behalf of the constituents. And there's something that the city has done, and I want to explain what they've just got the grant funding for, which is a food co-op. And that is a so-called supermarket, but it's a little bit different, where people will come in and bring in their produce to sell. So it will be actually several different vendors together in one place to sell food options.
Will it
And
be
that's
competitive, do you think, though?
what people will.
Because that sounds like a farmer's market. And farmer's market's a great idea, but none of them survive unless they have government coupons because the prices are too high.
Right. Obviously, they know the market that they need to come in, and they know they need to be competitive. And I think Woonsocket is greatly situated where other communities too can come in and purchase items too. So I really feel like Woonsocket people will support this once they understand the concept of it and once they see it. But ultimately, Dave, the more competition
they might
that
need
you
some
have,
advertising to explain that. Huh?
maybe we go down there and sell it to them. But they need, the more competition you have, the more affordable the price is. I mean, we see that all the time. We see, and people ask me all the time. They're like, "Well, why do they want to go next to another supermarket, another option?" Because they want to compete. They want to compete for that business. You see it on Park Avenue here. You've got 2 gas stations right across the street, and they compete with each other. When one lowers the price, the other one has to lower the price. So that's something that we want. We want more competition because I know people are struggling to purchase things. They purchase gas, purchase groceries. So the more competition we have, the more affordable it will be for people. So that's something that we're really going to focus in on and do everything we can to have those food options available for people.
So it's a real issue, but it's just kind of fallen into rhetoric during a campaign.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is it more of a case of just location? I don't want to drive the extra 10 minutes.
Well, some
to
people in
get
the center
to
city don't have the same transportation options we
that's
have.
true.
Joe.
That's right. So it comes down to a location thing.
Right.
And
I
we
want to
did
be able to
do-
walk to something.
Yeah, we did do the analysis too, and the food desert area, if you want to call that, people don't like that term, but I'll use it, is the downtown social area. So that's the place that we need those options, food options for people. And like Dave said, a lot of those people that live in that area, do not have the transportation to go, to Park Square, to, Bellingham, whatever. So I really feel like it's important that we focus in on that area and at least have one or two options there for people to purchase food options that live in that geographic area.
Okay. What are your thoughts on the supposed public safety complex over where All Saints Church used to be?
So this is a very confusing issue because the city council has purchased a piece of land, a property, for $1.3 million of ARPA funds, and the public safety department is not involved in it, and the public works department is not involved in it, and it's very bizarre. I've never seen anything like this, where we're purchasing property and we're telling these government departments that it affects them greatly, especially the public safety department. And it baffles my mind where we would be purchasing a property and not have their recommendation that they think it's an acceptable site, because I have heard that it's not an acceptable site, and that there's not enough room to do the public safety complex there, and it also is not a convenient area because you were going very close.
And it's not
to
the whole block either. There's private residence as part of that block.
in that section, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's too close to the. So to me, the plan is to close a few fire stations that are older. Right, Cumberland Hill Road is very old.
North Main Street they've been holding it together with telephone poles for years.
Correct. So to me, the ultimate goal for this is to save taxpayers money and to get a new facility that can house some of those fire stations. Not all the fire stations. I want to keep Mendon Road. I think that that's a great facility, and it's updated, and that probably would be forced to close if we move this here. So I don't think the people of East Woonsocket would care for this plan to put it there. And I'm in favor of the site on Davison Avenue. I think that's a better site for it. It's more centrally located, and I think it's better for the city. It will save taxpayers more money to have a few fire stations there in one location. So I'm really disappointed that again, they can't work together. They can't come up with a solution together because we have the money, we have the ARPA funds, so it's not going to cost taxpayers money. And I just don't understand why they're so dead set on this particular site when we spent $1.3 million and we didn't get anybody's recommendation that that's an acceptable site. So that's something that we got to look at when I get onto the council, hopefully, is what are we going to do with this site now that we purchased it? I mean, we can't just say, I'm going to give it back to you, so they're not going to take it.
No, but you could sell it. You could sell it. That could be part.
We've got to do
as a
something
real
with
estate
it.
guy, a profit could be made with that. But would the purchase with ARPA funds be valid?
That's the whole thing.
If you tried to redevelop
we might have to
it.
return that money as well too, because we promised them that we would do certain things with it, and one of those things was not turn it and flip it for a profit. That's not something that we can do. So
The
that's something
feds
that we
won't
need
give
to-
you money to do that.
No, that's not the purpose of the ARPA funds. No, I wish it was because we could make even more money, but no, and that's not the approved thing.
How do you see things going in terms of improving city parks like Cass Park?
So that's something that I really focused on when I was on the council, and the mayor did as well too. That we really tried to improve city parks, because I always felt for people of Woonsocket, a lot of families can't afford to go on these great vacations, so they really utilize our city parks, and I really want to get our parks to be used and really facilitated by the people. So Cass Park is close to my house. I use it all the time. And I'm very supportive of the athletic facilities being moved there because I really feel like the people of Woonsocket and the athletes of Woonsocket deserve it. I go around and I see the facilities in Cumberland and North Smithfield because my nephews play soccer, so we always see what they have. And I'm disappointed that Woonsocket doesn't have that. We have the money, we have the ARPA funds again to make those kind of facilities and to have people come here to Woonsocket. Let's have tournaments here. Let's bring in people to Woonsocket because it really can be used as an income generator. I feel Cass Park could really make a ton of money for our parks department, which really is always struggling for money to run this program and that program. So I'm hoping that in these 2 years that we have a team of people that can work together and get this park totally revitalized and have all the facilities at Cass Park and also River's Edge, which is nearby in case there's not enough space within Cass Park. We also have River's Edge, which is within walking distance of the high school. You just need to cross over the street. So between those two facilities, I'm going to see all the athletic facilities there within walking distance of the high school.
Okay. We have to take another break here on the Coffee and program, and this segment's been brought to you by Garrett Manseri. Anything you want to say before we take a quick break here, Garrett?
No, the next segment we're going to lead into the ballot questions, so I'll talk more about that and talk more about some other issues that are facing Woonsocket. So
Okay,
thank you.
very good. Coffee and program is still more coming here on ON Radio.
In Congress, David Cicilline is delivering for Rhode Island. As global events raise prices everywhere, including here at home, Cicilline is cutting costs for Rhode Islanders. He battled the pharmaceutical companies and lowered prescription drug prices for seniors. David took on the big corporations for price gouging and brought historic investments in infrastructure, manufacturing, and clean energy to create jobs, improve the supply of goods, and help reduce costs for consumers. Visit Cicilline.com and make your plan to vote on or before Election Day, Tuesday, November 8th. David Cicilline, delivering for Rhode Island.
I'm David Cicilline, and I approve this message.
Paid for by the Cicilline Committee. For an Allstate agent, providing protection options that fit your life is something they take, well, personally. Allstate agents are committed to learning about your needs and helping customize protection to meet them. From bundling your home and auto insurance with ease to evaluating optional coverage, your Allstate agent can help build an insurance proposal that fits your life. And just as important as learning what you need is learning what you don't. Because helping you get coverage you want with savings you deserve is what Allstate is all about. It's time to get coverage that's catered to you. Are you in good hands? Call Kara and Celeste Benjamin at the Benjamin Agency. One agency, two locations in North Smithfield and Bellingham. One telephone number, 765-5000. Subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and Allstate Property and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Holy Trinity Parish Bazaar is Saturday, November 12th, from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the former Monsignor Gattery School, 1371 Park Avenue, Woonsocket, which is handicap accessible. There will be gift certificate raffles, split the pot, theme basket, special raffles, also home baked goods and fudge, handmade items, crafts, gift items, books, jewelry, knitted items, and much more. Visit with Santa, give him your wish list, and take photos with the children. Kitchen will be open for lunch and will include the popular dynamites, meatball sandwiches, soup, hamburgers, hot dogs, fries, and more. For further information, contact me, Yvette Houle, at 766-5663.
It's Coffee In here on ON Radio. Thanks for joining us. Joe Callahan here with Dave Richards and City Council Candidate. That's the word I'm looking for. Looking to be on the City Council, Garrett Manseri. So we want to move into the ballot questions. So you're against question 4. Explain what it is, and then why are you against it?
So for right now, the way the charter is set up is that it allows the mayor to make a nomination for a city solicitor. And then that city solicitor has to be approved by the city council, and that has been in place for 50 years or whatever. That's the way it's been set up. And now the city council wants a certain person to continue on as the city solicitor when it's been pretty clear that the administration coming in will not be supporting that person. So they decided to put it on the ballot to get people to choose to switch it to just the city council. So the city council would select the city solicitor, and then they would ratify it, and that would be the end of it. So the issue that I have is not so much that, you're taking it away from the mayor, but you're also taking it away from the public works director, from the public works department, from the public safety department, from the finance department, from the personnel department. The city solicitor has to work with every single department. Mm-hmm. And what I don't want to see is what we have right now, where we have a very contentious city hall, where it's a bad working relationship between the departments and the city solicitor's office, and it's a bad mix right now. And I don't want that to continue. So to me, if you don't have the support of the administration and the city council, then you shouldn't serve as the city solicitor. And if you believe that as well, then you should reject question 4. And I know it's very common for people to just say approve, 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 because you don't want to read the questions. But this one is really, really important, and we're putting in extra effort so that people understand and know about it, because a lot of people don't follow, city politics, and they still want to go in and have their voice heard and vote, but then they don't really know the background behind what this question is all about. So I want people to understand that and to make their voices heard. Do you believe that it should be just one branch of government to select the city solicitor, or do you believe it should be both? And if you truly believe in the checks and balances, I always hear, I want, this government to work with that branch. If you truly believe in that, then you should reject this question, because you're saying to people, if you approve of this, you're saying only one branch of government should control everything. And that's not really what the people want, I don't think. So I'm hoping that people will understand it and will make their voices heard on this.
Okay. Explain question 5 and where you stand on that ballot question.
Sure. So question 5 is in regards to retail locations located in the city of Woonsocket. And the state law, the way it was written, is it would be allowed if the people didn't make a voice.
You forgot to use the actual key word in that discussion, and that is cannabis or marijuana.
Correct. Yeah.
Right. This all has to do with the state said, okay, we're going to make it legal in Rhode Island, but each city and town can say no.
Can have the option to not have these locations in their own community.
Okay.
Okay. So the city council decided to put this on the ballot so people can choose yes or no. And my feeling on it personally is, the people that want to use cannabis are going to use cannabis. I don't feel like having more locations are going to encourage people to do it or not encourage to do it. I'll use myself as an example. I have never done it, and I will never do it. And it doesn't matter whether we have 0 locations here or 10 locations here. I'm not going to do it because it's my choice to not do it. So the question is, for me, do I want other communities to get the revenue, or do I want Woonsocket to get the revenue? And I'm of the opinion that I want our community to have the revenue, so I will be approving that. And that's something that people can make their own choice as to how they feel. I know that some people feel like it's going to lead to more people using drugs, but I really don't feel that way. I feel like if people are going to use it if they want to use it, and whether they purchase that in Woonsocket or Blackstone or Cumberland or wherever, if they're going to purchase it, why not have the revenue come to Woonsocket? So that's my argument.
And you could always go take a look at Blackstone and Uxbridge and see how many Rhode Island license plates are in the parking lot.
They certainly are there. Yeah, they certainly are there. And I guess we'll see how people vote on it. I think they should make their own minds up, as to how they feel about that. But I can tell you, it is a very controlled operation. It's probably the most secure retail operation that I've ever seen. So I don't feel like it's something that's going to lead to a lot of cannabis out in the community that people go in and steal it and that kind of thing. So I'll let people make their own choice on that.
Would you like to know my opinion?
Sure.
First of all, I commend you on yours because it's I'm very comfortable with your opinion. And you're right, it is a personal thing. But I'm looking at it and I'm saying, well, you can always change your mind later, but do you have to go along with everybody now? And I would say no. Keep your options open. I would say no on this myself because I live 4.5 blocks from North Smithfield, and if they have it, then you're right over there. Now, again, like you, I can't picture ever doing it. Joe knows this because in personal conversations I told him, Denise and I stopped going to concerts in large venues because we didn't want to be stuck inhaling everyone else's marijuana smoke.
Right.
And it bothered us. We didn't like the smell of it. It wasn't for us. And so I can't imagine ever getting into it ourselves. But I don't want to yuck somebody else's yum. If that's what they want, then it's legal, and all right, go, fine. But Woonsocket doesn't have to do it. Believe me, there's enough places around in Woonsocket, I am told, where you can get it anyway. So you don't.
But we don't get the revenue from that date.
That's right.
That's the issue,
Well, that's always been the issue. But I'm saying that for those who don't have a transportation system but need it in Woonsocket, you're going to be able to get it same as always. Even if you can send an Uber over into Cumberland or North Smithfield, who I predict will probably accept it, and get it there and bring it to you. You don't have to have it on your own street corner. And so it's just going to get into a lot more junk and stuff like that. I don't see that it's helped the quality of life in nearby Blackstone, and I don't see that it's particularly ruined the quality of life in Blackstone. So if you don't need it, why complicate your life with it? That's my opinion.
Yep, and I feel I'm certainly looking forward to what people have to say about it. I think it's interesting to put it on the ballot and see how people feel about it, and how they want to vote. So,
all right. In terms of transparent government, Garrett, you talk about you wanting more community input when it comes to the city budget. Do you feel that there's not enough community input?
especially the last 6 years. So when I got onto the city council, I made an awful lot of changes to the budget. Some of those changes went through. Some of them the mayor vetoed, and some we overcame, and some we didn't. But people truly understood what the changes were, and why we were making them, because we had an opportunity to explain, for each amendment that we did. And now for the last 6 years, it hasn't been that way. It has been a yellow spreadsheet that is brought to the city council meeting, and the people vote yes or no, and that's it. And people really don't have no idea what is in the city budget. I mean, they can go online and they can read, 140-page document if they really want to. But that's not something that I feel really informs people as to what's going on. So I think we should do a couple of things in terms of the city budget. I think we should reach out to the community, have budget hearings out in the community, talk about what they want to see included or maybe cut from the budget. And I also feel that the mayor should have the ability to put out the budget, but we should be working together to craft that budget. Instead of saying, I support this and I'm going to cut it at the last minute, why not have a conversation about it? Why not have a conversation about this program and that program and how much money we should fund it? And then also give people the opportunity to comment on the city council changes. Because, and I'll give you an example. Let's say that the mayor puts in $300,000 for the road paving program, right? And people say, that's a great idea. I support that 100%. I'm good. Then the city council comes in on budget day and cuts it down to zero. Well, the people don't have an opportunity to respond to that, because at that time, public good and welfare is over, and they have no ability at all to comment on that change. So to me, that's not right. That's not fair. So to me, you should also be submitting as a council member your amendments to the agenda so people can follow that and say, hey, Councilman Manseri wants to zero out that line item, and I don't support that. Then you can go to the council meeting and tell me why you don't support it. So that's something that I want to change, is that whole budget process, so that people feel more informed.
As part of changes to the budget process, Garrett, could you picture during discussions of the Home Rule Charter amendments that we might want to make, moving the deadline for the mayor to submit a budget earlier in the year to allow for more discussion time?
So one of the challenges,
because it's really all crammed in May and June.
It really is. And one of the issues that we have is that we don't know the state aid coming in.
Good point.
And that's the issue, that we have to kind of bump them up before we can bump us up. So it would be a little bit of a less accurate budget, I guess you would say, because we would be more of a guess as to how much aid we're going to receive.
How about we pass the law that the state does their budget work earlier in the year, so
I would love it. And listen, and I will talk to my reps and senators and say, because honestly, Dave, I mean, they go down there in January and February and they do almost nothing, And to me,
they introduce 200, 300 bills.
Yeah, that's it. Well, they could be doing that at the same time as doing the budget discussion too, and that's my issue, is they always wait for the last minute because they got to do this. They got to, I'm going to get this in the budget if you pass this bill and blah, blah, blah. And I hate that stuff. And I don't know if we can ever do away with it, but certainly if I was there, I would be supportive of doing away with it and get that budget done by March, finished, done.
Well, that'd be nice, but we can't control the state. So while I was trying to be humorous there for a moment, but seriously speaking, what we could do when we're looking at our charter is say, okay, the municipal corporation in Woonsocket will now have a fiscal year that starts on October 31st. Same as the federal government.
That's something we could take a look at.
I said October 31st. It's October 1st, right?
1st, yeah.
I'm sorry, yes.
Yep.
October 1st, same as the federal government. Now, fiscal years are a trial, but you already have one on July 1st.
Right.
So make it October 1st, then you know what the state's doing.
Correct.
And you have plenty of time during the summer for discussion.
And we're not so rushed. I mean, this year I can't tell you how many people, where's my tax bill? Where's the tax bill? So
boy.
We have that ongoing saga of the two fighting it out.
That was fun, having two tax bills. Actually, I had four. I had the property and the business. 4 tax bills due within a month.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
that was not fun.
Yeah.
All right, we just got a minute or so to go.
So would you
and-
support that change of fiscal year? At least support a discussion
I
of
would,
it?
yes, absolutely. We're going to have that discussion for sure.
All right. Anything you want to mention about how to handle the homeless situation in the city?
So the only thing that I
It's
want
the
to
lightning round,
address
Garrett.
this, and we'll do it very quickly, and we're not going to talk about these topics. I just put these on. You know, Woonsocket is facing homelessness, addiction, and domestic abuse, and something that I want to do is get involved in subcommittees and actually have discussions on these issues, because I feel like the issues that everybody know exist, but we don't talk about them, and we don't come up with solutions, and we're coming up with short-term solutions for these things, which are long-term problems. And I'm hoping that I can get back onto the council and we can truly address these, bring in the people that know what they're doing and how we can actually make a difference for them.
All right, we just got a few more seconds to go here on the program, so we wanted to leave it up to Garrett Manseri,
That's
who
right.
purchased the time to be here on the Coffee and program. So
With a formal message.
with a formal message about why you should vote for Garrett for City Council.
Thank you so much. And I'm asking for your vote either today up until 4 o'clock at City Hall, or tomorrow at the polls for
Till
City
8
Council.
o'clock, right?
8 o'clock, yeah.
8
So
o'clock.
tomorrow is 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. And I'm asking for your vote, and I want people to know that, you know, I've been involved in this community, whether I've been elected or not elected. You know, I served on the City Council, I served on the Downtown Board, Autumn Fest Committee, Head Start Committee, Sojourner House Committee. And I do that because I take time out of my schedule because I love this community, and I want to see progress for our community. So I'm asking for your vote, again, to really bring a different dynamic to the City Council, to work with Chris Beauchamp, Valerie Gonzalez, myself, Scott McGee, Ben Chatra, David Susi, Brian Thompson, and also Mayor Bill Dudley Hunt. And we're going to really, truly work together. We're not always going to agree, but we are going to agree to move the city forward, and I'm asking for your vote. Thank you.
All right, Garrett, thank you very much. We thank you for listening in, everyone. Dave Richards,
And
thanks for
this,
coming in.
This segment brought to you by Friends of Garrett S. Mancieri.
That's right. Dave, thanks for coming in.
It's been great.
All right, Garrett, thanks for coming in. It's
Thank
been
you,
very
Dave. Thank you,
informative.
Joe. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Take care.
All right, this is Joe Callahan. Thanks for listening in. Tune in to the Tiki Bar tonight at 6, please. One full hour of Jimmy Buffett music. Coming up, it is At the Library with Leslie Page and Food First with Karen Zhang. Gary, it's all next on ON Radio.
Broadcasting live and local daily from the Navigant Credit Union broadcast studio at the corner of Park Avenue and Kennedy Street. This is WOON Woonsocket Radio. And now, the news. Classical High School alum Jeremy Pena was named the MVP of the 2022 World Series as his Houston Astros won their second title on Saturday. The shortstop Pena went 2 for 4 at the plate, with a run scored in the decisive Game 6 over the Philadelphia Phillies. Pena was born in the Dominican Republic before his family moved